Wilhelm recently acquired a new mount. Is it a horse or even a dog sled pulled by children? No, it's a bulletproof Mercedes-Benz with a machine gun mounted on the roof. I'd like to see Vlad von...
It's just like, imagine in a fantasy world, a bulletproof Mercedes-Benz rolling through the field. I gotta see this in action, bro.
Harshkind compete with this. Speaking of Vlad...
It's an eight-cylinder Mercedes-Benz armored to the T. Yeah, we're gonna watch Reggie use World War I tactics and survive. Oh, he's gonna use World War I tactics to survive Armageddon in Total War Warhammer 3. Okay, cool. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're all doing great. Boop.
Gentlemen, I have one question. When you visualize Warhammer, do you see machine gun nests mowing down hordes of the undead? Maybe war zeppelins dropping bombs on confused Frenchmen?
Wait, hold on. So is this canon? Wait, is this Warhammer? Is this Warhammer canon? I don't know. I think something here. I don't think this is canon. I'm not gonna lie.
Thousands of soldiers simultaneously suffering from trench foot. Well, you should, because today we're going to be using the technology and tactics of a certain 20th century military power to conquer the world. But having both of our feet amputated will be the least of our concerns, because on turn 100, chaos portals will open all over the map, unleashing thousands of demons with an intense desire to consume our vital organs. Can we become a military superpower and overcome this cataclysmic event, or will we be subjugated by our demonic overlords? There's only one way to know. But first, a word from our sponsor, War Thunder. It's a game with an impressive collection of over 2,000 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, which you can use to decimate your friends regardless of which team they're on. Personally, I like to turn off my weapon systems and just use myself as the explosive. In this regard, hypersonic jets are the most effective option. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, with dynamic and detailed damage models. So when I crash my F-16 into the side of a T-34 tank at 2,000 kilometers an hour, I get a complex breakdown of exactly why I am no longer alive. The customization is impeccable. Zooming in to read manga off the side of a Japanese tank, simply incredible. Finally, the graphics are so good I've suffered a mental break and I don't know what's...
But like, could you imagine like a tank coming at you, like just filled with ahagao faces?
Real anymore.
Like, what do you do in that situation,
dude? On PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. If you use my link in the comments, you'll get a bonus pack with free stuff. And if you don't use it, I'll find you. Here we are in the lovely old world. It's very much the same, except Karl Franz is now an ultra-nationalist and he's wearing a pickle hob. Normally, the Empire operates as a collection of city-states that eventually confederate through a series of popularity contests. It's a little like democracy, which is nice, because democracy is a system by the people and for the people.
But the people are retarded.
And I don't have time for such... political machinations. So instead, we'll be doing all of our diplomacy with the business end of a machine gun. We start by introducing ourselves to our neighbors. Hello and goodbye. I know these tactics might seem excessive, but we need to aggressively develop our empire if we want to have any hope of surviving Armageddon. Because I may have put it on max difficulty. With our first enemy defeated, we can now recruit some conscripts. They're our weakest unit, and they're also preposterously expensive. But with a bit of focus fire.
So I assume there's actually like a World War I like mod, like a World War I like faction mod that you can get.
Assassinate enemy.
I'm assuming you can't actually just get like World War I like troops and like generals in the game like canonically. I assume this is a mod.
Generals in one volley, so not bad. Clearly,
like I'm pretty sure Hitler isn't like an option. You think it's canon?
Quality over quantity. Our campaign started off quite well. We bounced around Reichland, liberating settlements from the tyrannical Polish menace. So impressive was our blitzkrieg that a beast wizard wanted to join the army. I know he may appear to be some kind of homeless schizophrenic, but he's actually just your average Los Angeles man. So I let him join our crusade. Now, in an effort to immediately bankrupt my own government, I decided to start building a second army led by the legendary General Wilhelm von Zollernhorn. And yes, I did Google that name to see if he was associated with any genocide. Surprisingly, he was not. Wilhelm is great because unlike Karl, his talent tree
A+.
actually buffs our modern units, and you better believe I'm going to specialize him entirely into tank warfare. But we don't have any tanks
You
yet.
can tell how much knowledge they have on like military tactics by what their mustache looks like.
In fact, all we have are people who wanted to be here slightly more than they wanted to be in a military prison. So let's get back on track. After finishing off the Empire secessionists, we received a quest to defend this beach from an amphibious landing of Vikings. Unfortunately for the Vikings, the beach they are landing on is Normandy Beach, because we have just unlocked light machine gun nests, and as you may imagine, a band of naked Norwegians is no match for the 1,200 rounds per minute coming out of these guns. After completing our
Okay, just for the record, this is how the Geneva Convention came to be, you know? This is like, if you guys want to learn like how Canada like made the Geneva Convention like come into existence, just watch a few Reggie videos. And like what the kind of stuff that he pulls in order to win. And then you'll get it.
revisionist history at Normandy, I decided to declare war.
Is he Canadian? Reggie's Canadian, isn't he? I'm pretty sure. I'm fairly certain Reggie's also Canadian, actually, funny enough. I think. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Reggie's Canadian, so that actually makes it so much more funny, too. He's literally Canadian, and you can just, like, watch what he does, and this is why Canadians invented the Geneva Convention. Like, we never invented it, but it's because of us that it exists. And it's because of this kind of shit.
Emil von Corden. Why would I
We're
do that?
feared in war. We are. Historically, Canadians are savages. Canadians historically are fucking beasts. Like not good beasts. Like we're just unhinged savages. Like you don't want anything to do with us. You see, if we're on your side, you're fucking stoked. Like you're super happy. You're good. You're good. Them not good.
Because no one can stop me. Emil's forces were difficult to defeat because there were 2,500 of them. But now there's not. This gives us ownership over one of the mountain passes.
Is that why you're the nicest country on earth? Yeah, we just got it all out. we just got it all out through history,
which will help us control our borders, especially
Kindness
when the
is
demons
alive,
arrive.
yeah.
While this was going on, Wilhelm was starting up a war on the Eastern Front, and things were going pretty well. However, we were starting to run into some growing pains. As it turns out, ignoring your faction's game mechanics in favor of ultra-violence is not a wise decision, because after declaring war on 2 people just for fun, everyone thinks I'm clinically insane, and our popularity is plummeting.
Are you not? Wait, hold on.
Much like a high school girl, without popularity, Karl's empire starts to physically decompose. So to correct this economic tailspin, we need to increase our approval rating. To achieve that, we will stop fighting humans and instead focus on killing creatures of the night, such as the elderly. Unfortunately, Eben von Leibowitz didn't get this memo, and he attacked Wilhelm with 3,000 units. Now, machine guns are very strong.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
But as it turns out, they have their limitations, and we got absolutely massacred. This was a small but detectable setback in our plans. With my army destroyed, Durthu took the opportunity to demand financial restitution from us, despite the fact I've never even talked to him before. I'll be honest, it really damages my confidence to be successfully extorted by sentient plant matter, and I won't be forgetting this. But for now, we can't afford another war. Now, it's not all bad, because the Beastmen just completed their end of a suicide pact by running headfirst in my capital, and this gave us a nice little chunk of change. In fact, money is at a bit of a premium in my empire, because if I want to...
Imagine being, like, bullied by trees. Imagine being bullied by a fucking spruce tree for your money.
Recruit a super heavy tank is going to cost me thousands of gold. Fortunately, I found a few ways to make money. For example, I struck up a trade deal with this lovely wood elf lady.
Rimworld moment.
Don't tell. I think I want to kill her.
Aside from that, we've just been completing quests, trading with the Chinese, and stealing Heinrich Himmler's social security checks. Speaking of Heinrich, the war is going quite well. Much like the Beastmen, he fell into the trap of driving himself into a wood chipper at 300 kilometers per hour. And since then, I've been using light tanks to carve my way through his territory. Truly, there is no cleaner pleasure than watching machine gun fire tear into hordes of the undead. Our campaign culminated in the siege of Castle Artois. It was kind of awkward because we have almost no melee units, and we can't really shoot them effectively from this angle, so I settled on using some breaching charges to open the castle gates. From here, I just let my tanks sit down in front of the door and shoot anyone who attempted to move from here to here. It was a little like Red Rover, except the stakes were a lot higher because angry Germans are shooting at you with machine guns. Eventually, we won, but clearly, I'm going to have...
like modders put effort into bringing this in, like literally modders. I mean, okay, is this official deal? This isn't official DLC, right? Like, there's no way this is official DLC. There's no way this is official DLC. I don't believe it. Like modders had to go in and make all of these assets themselves and animate them all themselves. That is incredible. that is actually incredible.
Some heavy artillery.
This is canon. I don't believe you.
At this point, all of our initial enemies are dead, so it's a good time to assess our position in the world. It's turn 33. We occupy a thin band of regions along the southwest. I was hoping to have the entire empire conquered by turn 40, so it's safe to say we're a little behind schedule, but I'm confident that our rapidly developing military technology will help us catch up. For example, Wilhelm recently acquired a new mount. Is it a horse or even a dog sled pulled by children? No, it's a bulletproof Mercedes-Benz with a machine gun mounted on the roof. I'd like to see Vlad von...
It's just like, imagine in a fantasy world, a bulletproof Mercedes-Benz rolling through the field. I gotta see this in action, bro.
Karstein compete with this. Speaking of Vlad...
It's an eight-cylinder Mercedes-Benz armored to the T.
He's going to be our next target. He owns a lot of territory, and unfortunately for him, most of the Geneva Conventions do not apply to reanimated corpses, so I should lose no popularity by eviscerating him with hundreds of landmines. However, the Orcs were blocking my path into Sylvania, so I had to grapple with the serious moral dilemma of whether I should shoot them to death or cover them in napalm. I chose both. It was all going very well, because the Orc military philosophy consists exclusively of screaming and running headfirst into bullets. The undead were experiencing a similar issue. Usually, they throw bodies at you until you become exhausted, but luckily for us, bullets do not get tired. The only problem we ran into was that the ghosts are ethereal, so roughly half of our bullets go right through them. But I am a firm believer in just shooting them twice as much. So we plowed forward, capturing Grenstadt, Schwarzhaven, and Fort Obersteyr. And just as my military conquest was about to send me over the edge into an erection-induced coma,
there's so many
tragedy
mods.
struck.
There's so many
declared war
right?
on me. It's alright though, they're strength rank 21 and we're rank 2, so surely they won't invade me with 3 armies, you son of a bitch. You look like a smart guy, so I probably don't have to tell you, but this is really bad. Because for every Skaven we can see, there are probably 10 that we can't. With all of my generals tied up in the east, Ikit Claw had a fantastic time detonating nuclear devices on my peasant militias. To make the situation even more embarrassing, the Orcs actually started defeating us by changing their army composition.
I hope Reggie can unlock nukes at some point.
Did they also develop heavy machine guns?
I hope they can unlock nuclear warfare.
Not even close. They just put themselves on pigs and drove into my gun line really fast. The only silver lining to all of this was that I convinced Balthazar Gelt to confederate with me, which expanded my borders considerably.
Shoots the ghost and nothing happens, shoots them more. Duh.
This decimated my economy because AI build their empires in the same way a recently lobotomized man builds a helicopter, which is to say, not very well. Anyway, after sorting that out, I sent Gelt back to deal with the Skaven, and since he is a wizard of metal, I gave him some very heavy metal to work with. Aside from that, Wilhelm went on a paid vacation to the lovely city of Skavenblight to burn it to the ground and stomp on the ashes. Our capture of Skavenblight could be compared to cutting the head off the chicken that is Clan Scryer. The issue is that the body is still thrashing around and shitting all over my territory. However, after 10 turns and several doses of lorazepam, we had finally finished them off. In their place, I installed several puppet governments that were loyal to me. I can't be everywhere at once, but having multiple semi-competent allies spread across the map should be enough. At this point, my blood pressure was finally starting to normalize again, so obviously the ogres decided to rectify that by declaring war and attacking me with 3 gigantic armies. At this moment, the game expects me to just roll over and accept my dick flattening like a good boy, but I said no. I'm fighting this battle, and I'm not going to stop pissing myself until I win. We took up a defensive position atop this hill, and I started skirmishing with my tanks. The ogre race is an exciting experiment in determining just how much fat a body can accommodate before it ruptures at the seams, which makes them incredibly easy to shoot with a rifle. Even better than that, I found I could use my tanks to blob the enemies up, at which point my heavy machine guns would start tearing them apart. It was a bit of a messy process, but eventually we managed to shoot, bludgeon, and explode the ogres to death. As a thank you to Scrag for being such a good sport about the whole ogre genocide thing, I decided to travel into his territory, burn his castle down, and install a xenophobic city-state in its place. Now back to business. Vlad von Karstein is technically still alive, but his empire is dying, so we're going to administer some end-of-life care by caving in his cranium. This was fairly easy, because I now have access to Pioneer...
Are you firing... Are you... Dude, guys, Reggie is putting the vampire overlord in front of a firing squad, I think. Holy fuck. Public execution style.
Infantry, which can construct razor wire, MG nests, mortars, and anti-aircraft bunkers for free. It takes a lot of time, but the undead aren't exactly in a hurry. In fact, they're having a hard time moving at all, because Wilhelm upgraded his mount, and he's now flying above the battlefield in a war blimp, dropping
You know what? I think you guys are right. I'm starting to think this is canon. I'm starting to think this is canon. I think this is canon. Yeah, I think you're right. This is 100% canon to the Warhammer universe. Absolutely, for sure.
blocks and lawn darts on our enemies as
definitely canon, for sure.
they approach, excited by the idea of blimp supremacy.
He has a fucking war blimp. Bro, he's got a fucking blimp of war.
I decided to recruit several Imperial war blimps to help me clean up some Viking villages. They're stronger, considerably more phallic, and each one has 10 bombs they can deploy for massive damage. The Norwegians attempted to counter this by throwing axes into the sky. Not only did this tactic not work, it actually made me bomb them even harder. At this point, I've managed to narrow down what the actually good unit...
Just for the guys, this is more of like I honestly think this is more of like a documentary of like how the Geneva Convention was invented. This is like a what not to do. You know, this is like a commercial for the Geneva Convention. They were throwing axes. They were throwing axes into the sky. So his response was just to keep nuking them from the sky.
And things are starting to move pretty fast. Some orcs declared war on us. We beat the daylights out of poor Festus, hired the Red Baron, who was apparently a melee specialist, despite being in a biplane,
right?
Killed some wood elves while no one was looking, used rocket launchers to defeat Pope Francis in a quest battle, and most importantly, we implemented government mandate.
Wait, did he actually kill Pope? Wait, is that also another faction that's in the Warhammer universe? The Pope Francis faction?
Crystal meth for all of my soldiers, which is
guys, I think I'm starting to see why people like Warhammer so much. There's a lot of interesting history here. This is all canon, right?
Clearly evident by the way my machine gunners are currently tweaking out in between volleys. At this point, it's turn 7.
Actually, that makes sense. That makes sense because I think so. I'm pretty sure a lot of soldiers back in World War I took Adderall. I think it was either that or like cocaine. What was it? It was amphetamines. They were all put on amphetamines.
And we control almost all Empire territory. Our only active enemies are the Norskins, the Orcs, and some British guy. However, the Chaos invasion will be coming soon, so it's time to start preparing.
Yeah.
One of the most dangerous components of the invasion is that it spawns chaos portals all over the world, which is like an open invitation for demons to remove your limbs. My plan is to construct several of these buildings across my territory. They prevent chaos rifts from spawning, and if I pull this off just right, we will be the only faction in the entire world that isn't immediately decimated by hordes of demons. Now, I like my plan, and it should buy us some time. However, we will still have to fight our enemies at some point. To this end, I've ordered the construction of several super heavy class weapons. This is a super heavy mortar. For reference, here it is next to our previous generation of artillery, and now here it is turning a group of goblins into fertilizer. So, yeah, we also have this. I know it looks like a tank, but it's actually a Morse code transmitter. The signal is carried by a 40-pound high-explosive shell. The receiver is located somewhere inside this man's gray matter, and the message is death.
Ugh.
Finally, the Imperial Sky Destroyer. I haven't even...
Anyways, here's the Imperial Sky Destroyer. Whoa! Holy shit! What the fuck? Did they reference like German schematics, dude? There was so many like German war weapons that never came to be, that are actually really interesting to look into. This looks like it was straight out of their book of criminal warfare. Yes. Yes, the Imperial Sky Destroyer. I dare say we will win.
Imperial Sky Destroyer. I haven't even used this one yet, but it cost me 20,000 gold to recruit and another 5,000 for upkeep. So I'm hoping this will be our secret weapon against the apocalypse. While my new units were recruiting, I spent the next couple of turns...
That's fucking insane!
Testing out different weapons. Here are some of my favorites. A mobilized anti-aircraft gun. It's fairly good at killing flying units, but I prefer to use it to execute execute political prisoners at close range. Helicopters, they're quick, fire explosive rockets, and you can land.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, a lot of this stuff is just like, like, I'm not even like, I want to say I'm joking, but I'm not. A lot of this stuff is literally just like fucking straight out of Hitler's book of fucking warfare, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Them to refuel their ammo.
the
Very
shit?
cool. Finally, we have colonial infantry. Each one can build 3 dirt walls that provide them cover and prevent
Hitler's
the enemy
wish
from advancing.
list.
Of course, it doesn't take
What
long
the
for
hell,
you to
dude?
realize you can abuse this mechanic to instantly create an impenetrable fortress of dirt that puzzles even the most intelligent chaos giants. You may be wondering how I experimented with all these war machines. Quite simple, really. I took them across the water and found that the Vikings were very willing to let me test my weapons on them. And by very willing, I mean they weren't able to stop me. Turns out it wasn't climate change that killed the mammoth, it was natural predators such as carnivorous flights of biplanes. Anyway, our extensive research and development program was actually generating us a lot of money, and the Empire had entered into something of a golden age. Wars were going well.
Can you imagine, dude, can you imagine living in a blimp? That'd be so cool. Imagine if you could just like live in a blimp. That'd be sick.
Flowing, and the Empire was blossoming. Basically, there has never been a better time to be a citizen living in the Empire. So doom is coming. Destroying all in its path. The end is nigh.
Oh, that's too bad. Shit.
You know what? Don't worry about that. I'm sure it's fine.
Fuck it.
On a
I'm sure it's
completely
fine.
unrelated note, I'm going to start drafting a few thousand people into the army now. We're on the final stretch at this point, and I'm just getting everything prepared. I imagine the literal apocalypse may slightly influence the Empire stock market, so I've saved up plenty of cash, recruited extra armies, and set up 2 layers of walls in all of my settlements. I finished out the next 10 turns fairly relaxed. The only excitement was when we were attacked by Leopold
Too broke
Wolf.
to care. That is such a mood, though. I don't got the money for that. Whatever.
Those of you who don't know, Mr. Wolf is an avid collector of traumatic brain injuries. How do I know this?
God, same.
Because I'm the one giving them to him. I don't know much about him, but he's very upset that I own the moot. And every 5 or 10 turns he shows up and starts screaming at me about taking the moot pill. I don't know what that means, so naturally I shot him with an anti-tank rifle. Other than that, we were ambushed by a large quantity of ogres. In case you are wondering, this is what a man's face looks like when he knows he's about to be spit roasted by murderous fat men. Actually, never mind. I was giving General Booger too much credit. But then again, it's hard to
Is that his actual name? Hold on. General Booger.
Actually, never mind. I was giving General Booger...
Oh my god, it is. You know, and he looks like a General Booger too. Look at him.
Too much credit, but then again, it's hard to command your troops when you are dead. I took this incursion as an opportunity to use my flamethrowers to carve up the ogre kingdom and redistribute it to my vassal. I know this may seem like an overly violent solution to an otherwise mundane problem, but when you are a walking tank of napalm, suddenly every problem looks like a Vietnamese rice farmer. Turn 99. Things are good. Our southern border is protected by several military allies. The north is protected by Kislev and the Tree People, and everything else is protected by this. I went to sleep on turn 99 with a smile on my face, feeling safe and secure, but suddenly, dark and twisted visions crept into my mind. Eldritch abominations, legions of chaos warriors, and above all else, one very angry little man. I woke up in a cold sweat, frantically searching around my empire for the chaos invasion, but it's fine, there's nothing here. Oh wait, nope. There it is. There are a total of 75 fully leveled hostile chaos armies on the map, and as it turns out, they're hosting a destination wedding in Altdorf, because they're all headed straight for me. Truly, it is time to summon the Elector Counts. Actually, never mind. They're all dead, and we killed them. Well, at least our preparations worked, and we have no chaos portals in our territory, so that should buy us some time.
Well, that's really lucky, because they spawn like randomly. The chaos portal just spawn randomly all around the map, I'm pretty sure. So he could have gotten a bunch of spawn into his map, into his region.
Everyone else. But now, first things first. Cool. Festus has willed himself back into existence, and he also brought 10 of his friends from the homeless shelter to come kill me. However, I anticipated this and brought 8 of my friends, which means the ultimate battle between modern firepower and disgusting freaks is about to unfold. I kicked it off with 4 of my best armies against 4 of theirs. We deployed our forces and began setting up on the high ground. I was worried they might rush us, but there appeared to be some gentleman's agreement that we would both wait for our reinforcements to arrive. This is what that looked like on my side: howitzers, tanks, machine guns, armored cars, blimps, and of course, a shitload of infantry. On their side, whatever this is. We were in a bit of a standoff by this point.
Do you think Reggie made that voice himself? Do you think that was Reggie's voice right there? He like voiced that? He totally did, didn't he? He totally
But
did.
fortunately, only one of us had chemical weapons, and surprisingly, it wasn't Festus. So I began pounding my enemies with poison-filled shells. This achieved some level of neuron activation, and they started plowing across the field toward me. Our lines were very neatly formed, and we were picking hundreds of them off with each volley, but within minutes it was absolute chaos. Giant insects chasing down heavy tanks, danger close artillery, blimps erupting into flames, giant balls of molten lead plowing across the battlefield, and most importantly, a very unfortunate amount of men being hacked apart by great axes. Luckily, we were able to volley fire the enemy leadership until they more closely resembled a spaghetti strainer than a human being. And with that taken care of, the Chaos forces began to fold. After about 18 minutes, they were in full retreat, and the post-battle screen looked like this. We completed this routine 3 more times to kill Festus and eliminate his faction. It was a victory for man.
I just love how he has death blimps in the Warhammer fantasy world. I just love how there's dead, like, murder blimps in Warhammer.
And kind, but one thing has become clear. This is not sustainable. My armies are in shambles, and there's still 50 Chaos Legions
Those
barreling
dragons,
down
too.
on us.
I think they
Fortunately, we do have a chance.
Worms,
you see,
maybe?
when I enabled this endgame crisis, I toggled a setting called Faction Doom. Basically, the Chaos factions are incredibly strong. However, if we can manage to defeat their main general in combat, the rest of their empire will start to crumble. So I don't have to fight all of this, I just have to find and kill each leader before it's too late. Our first target? Archaon. He's the strongest faction and also in a surprisingly vulnerable position. I used Festus's portal to take Carl, Gelt, and Claude Dogburglar? Okay, whatever. I teleported them across the map.
Claude Dogburglar.
And started a battle with Archaon. He was
Don't
very
let
strong,
that
but I
person
have
around
yet
your
to
dogs,
find a
guys,
man
alright?
who was able to withstand...
I love how he's... I love how he's just driving around like an armored Rolls Royce.
being shot by 1900
What the
rifles.
fuck? I love
So
it.
anyway, he
That
died,
is so
and next
funny.
turn we had our proof of concept, because he went from being strength rank 1 to rank 89, and all of his armies are disappearing. 1 down, 6 to go. After defeating Archaon, I decided to close the Chaos portal that he used to teleport here. To do this, we had to complete a moderately challenging battle against Demons of Khorne, but after we beat the teenage angst out of them, we were able to close the portal and claim a reward. I took this ridiculously strong sword that will probably corrupt my mind and turn me into a sadistic lunatic, and I'm okay with that. In fact,
That's fun.
each
That
type
sounds
of
good.
portal
That's fine.
seems
No
to
big
give
deal.
you a different reward. Khorne gives you access to extremely powerful items, Nurgle gives all of your armies poison attacks and attrition resistance, Tzeentch provides empire-wide buffs
Tzeentch.
and removes Fog of War, and finally Slaanesh gives you laughably high casualty replenishment and empire growth at the cost of spreading their filthy, filthy corruption. This reward mechanic isn't
Slaanesh. So they're definitely like the lewd ones,
very
huh? Yeah.
narratively important, but I think it's a nice touch, and I like it. Anyway, our next target was Sigvald, accidentally. You see, I tried closing this
Literally
Chaos
Prince
portal,
Charming,
but
dude.
I fell into it and got
they're like the
teleported
sucky
directly
looking
to
ones.
Sigvald's femboy empire. An empire which was remarkably
Yo, Prince Charming, you kind of went down an interesting route, I suppose.
unprepared.
Yo, dude, yeah, Prince
blimp
Charming saw that
supremacy.
like Astolfo stuff recently. Yeah, they saw that Astolfo stuff, and they just, you know, I guess their interests changed.
I felt bad shooting such a beautiful man to death, but dare I say, he looks even better now. By this
Femboy
point,
Empire
Azazel's forces
reminds
were
me of
starting to
someone.
invade from the north. It took them only 2 turns to kill all
My
of his
empire?
lab, and I really don't like the way they're looking at me. Most of
So
my main
I'm fairly certain I don't have a femboy empire, but I don't know. Maybe I'm
armies have been
wrong.
dispatched across the world to hunt down Chaos generals, so I'm stuck defending my territory with these micro armies. They looked good on paper, but suddenly I feel unprepared. Anyway, the fastest way for me to stop this will be to kill Azazel, so I sent 2 armies up the river to look for him, and we didn't have to look very hard because he attacked us on the next turn. It's not looking good, but what the auto-resolve
You know, when I do play this game, maybe I will get a femboy army. That sounds interesting.
to be forgetting is that this is my main tank regiment,
Or
and as it
this,
turns
'cause
out,
that looks
no
cool
amount
too.
of horniness can protect you from having your limbs blown off in an explosion. And furthermore, Azazel's tactic of throwing himself under my tank treads was
What do you think was gonna happen? What do you think was gonna? Wait, that's the boss guy? That's Azazel? You just fucking ran him over? You ran him over with a tank? No, hold on.
And furthermore, Azazel's tactic of throwing himself under my tank treads was
Oh my god, bro.
questionable at best. But
So again, guys, Geneva Convention. This is why it exists.
Azazel defeated
Okay.
and his ecstatic legion in disarray, we've bought ourselves some time. For my next magic trick, I will be making Valkia the Bloody disappear. I took Blimp Boy through the Chaos Portals again and managed to land right next to her. She had a lot more units than me, but she's having a very hard time getting them through.
Bro, there's something just so strange about this scene here. There's a bunch of war blimps in hell. Which like kind of adds up, you know? It kind of makes sense, but also it's just such strange imagery, you know? You know what I mean?
Through this choke point while I drop bombs on it. This is what we call a skill issue. Anyway, Valkia was absolutely seething at the fact she forgot to bring ranged units to a blimp battle, so I had free reign to basically do whatever I want. With her defeated, we just have 3 to go: Kolek, Wulfric, and Village. Speaking of Village, his faction is absolutely mopping the floor with the Chinese, as evidenced by the fact I am looking at a map of Cathay with only 1 Cathayan settlement.
Where else
Anyway,
would they
I sent
go?
Gelt and Dogburglar through a
True.
portal to chase Village down, but he got the drop on us at Dragon's Gate, and it's not looking so good. We did our best with the basic infantry, but they're remarkably squishy and don't hold up so well against return fire. Also, this creature exists and is doing horrible things to
What is
anyone
that?
unlucky
Very
enough to
big and
survive the
girthy.
enemy's ranged attacks. I tried everything: magic, bombs, even tried burning it like an ant with this high-powered magnifying glass. Didn't work. Our winning streak was officially over. I suppose it's true what they say: don't send a boy to do a blimp's job.
I would
By
say like that
abusing the
too,
very
yeah.
same chaos portals the demons
That blimp is
created,
crazy,
I was
bro.
able to teleport my blimp army directly into the
I would
heart
feel
of
so
Village's
safe in that
kingdom.
blimp, though,
And
unless
thanks
a
to
dragon
some
came after me.
questionably balanced units, we were back in the win column, but our territory was still beset by a bunch of miscellaneous freaks, and they're starting to corrupt the environment, which is itself spawning rebel armies. But that's alright, there's just Kolek and Wulfric left. I actually found Wulfric in a very vulnerable position on my northern shores. Alone, and with almost no troops under his command, I dispatched 4 of my militias to deal with him, but perhaps sensing the noose tightening,
Reggie's just
he,
annihilating
let's
them,
just
dude.
say, deleted himself. I don't know why, but he was there one turn and dead the next. You can blame it on a freak accident or a bad horoscope, but personally, I don't care. On to Kolek. In case you couldn't
well,
tell,
that
Kolek
works,
is
I guess.
fairly dangerous. He
Convenient.
wields a hammer the size of 6 grown
my
men, and I have
God.
personally never seen
Yo.
him cry even once. We attacked him
He's
just outside of
huge.
Cathay with what's left of our army.
Holy
we have
shit,
about
he's
5 units of
girthy.
riflemen, a few
how big he
blimps on
is.
life support, and whatever random regiments of renown I could anxiously
is his, like-
recruit before the battle.
How big
Kolek's
is-
army was composed of
never
5
mind.
units of hell cannons, and basically everyone else was some variation of a person who would like to crush your skull beneath their bare foot. The battle was on, and I breathed a sigh of relief, because my siege weapons had longer range than his. But as it turns out, Kolek must be a top, because he did not appreciate being pounded. It's all the same to me though.
Bro, he could like crush you to death with his though,
because
Yeah,
with his
never mind.
cannons destroyed, I can now safely deploy my blimps into the... Oh. Okay, so I guess I missed one. Anyway, after a little more shelling, we were back on track. Kolek's beasts closed the gap on my gun line very quickly, probably because we were having a hard time aiming while being struck by lightning. After 10 minutes, all of my units were dead, except for a couple of heroes and a blimp which has 230 health. Kolek was still running around hammering my artillery
This is
crews
like-
into the ground, but eventually...
It's like actually like weirdly epic. Like, dude, this is actually so epic. It's so strange. It's so strange to see blimps and like World War I vehicles and artillery and militias in this like grand fantasy world.
Balthazar
It's
Gelt
such an
killed
interesting,
him by
like,
transmuting his body
visual.
into lead. The blimps may have also helped with this physical transformation. After leaving the battle, we were greeted with an ultimate victory screen. By using trench warfare, chemical weapons, and generally unfair units, we were able to usher in an age of peace. Truly, the world can move forward.
I feel like this was really unfair. like they have magic, yeah, like and a lot of their magic is unfair. But like, have you guys see what Reggie brought here, dude? Like, what the fuck?
and live in harmony. Wait, no. We still have unfinished business. In the end, perhaps I was the endgame crisis all along. Alright, big thank you to this month's patrons, and finally, thank you
Bro, he's
for watching.
bombing
And also,
the elves. he went. He didn't even have to do that.
Thank you to
He
War
already
Thunder.
won.
You can check out the
He already won. He decided he never won enough, I guess. I don't know.
game using the link in the description
Those
or
elves
the pinned
deserved it,
comment
the trees
below to
too.
receive all this cool stuff. All right, that's all. See you later.